First performance would have to be church. I started singing in church, so it'd be Nevada Baptist Church, no doubt. That was my first performance, singing for my grandmother, who made me get up and sing when I didn't want to. Favorite song would have to be, being a George Strait fan, you would think it'd be George Strait, but it's not. It would be The Dance by Garth Brooks, no doubt. I think it's a song you can live your life by, and truly is always, from the writer standpoint, I thought it was just genius. It was just such a good and well-written song, and still this day it's one of those classics. It doesn't matter what time, year you hear it, doesn't matter whether you hear it 10 years from now, another 30 years from now, it'll still be a hit. Who are my heroes? I have two heroes. Wayne Allen, which is my great uncle, and then Robert Earl Caldwell, which is my grandfather, who I'm named after. Both taught me to be hardworking, and both came up, were raised on just hard work, and literally they lived, in the 50s, 40s and 50s, and they did, they worked in the fields and stuff, and so they grew up on hard work, and both of them had successful careers. My grandfather, Robert Earl, died when I was 13. My uncle's still alive and still works to this day. He's 82 years old, and again, they distilled that kind of hard work ethic in me and helped me get to where I've gotten today. Favorite sports team's easy. It's the Dallas Cowboys. I know half of you radio people are really going, ugh, especially if you're in Houston. But no, definitely the Cowboys. I grew up watching, I watched them in the 80s, and obviously in the 90s we were good. And the thousands are not so good, but it doesn't matter. I'll still pull for them regardless. Cowboys all the way. Okay, favorite album, definitely Adam Hood, The Shape of Things. That's a great album. It's his last album. He's got a new album coming out called Trying to Write You Love Song. I'm sure it's going to be great too. But The Shape of Things, just a great album. He's a good friend, phenomenal writer, phenomenal singer, and he's finally getting his just due. So that's one of those I can put in the CD player and just listen to all the way down the road. Alternate profession would be storm chaser or weatherman. I love storms, I love weather, and I suck at being a weatherman though, because I couldn't wear the suit and tie, so I'd probably have to be a storm chaser. Most embarrassing moment would have happened on Troubadour, Texas. It's been almost 2 years now, when I got stuck on the mountain and I had to have some ski patrol, the girl, come pick me up. It was kind of embarrassing, because then we had to go take the jet ski, or not the jet ski, but the ski mobile, to actually pick someone up who's really injured. And that's exactly what the guy told me when he picked me up. He's like, hey, you got to hold on, because we actually got to go pick someone up who's actually hurt. And I was like, oh, that way to just rub the wound, but it's all good. Drink of choice would be a scotch, no doubt. 20-year-old scotch, age just right. I mean, if it's that old, then it really doesn't even matter what brand. I don't think. I think it's hard to get most good bottles of scotch that are aged. It'll be good. Most memorable vacation would have to be my Uncle Wayne. He had these motorhomes, this big motorhome he used to drive up and down 35 with, and we drove all the way down to Corpus, and then we go to North Padre. So I was so small then, I don't think we went to Corpus. We went south Corpus. We'd go through San Antonio. I know that. I remember that much. And we'd drive all the way down there, and I loved it because it was the closest thing to like being in a bus, and actually back then it was like 34 feet, so it was huge at the time. And I'd sit in the front window with him, and I'd just watch, eyes wide open. It was just awesome to drive down there, even more so than the beach. The beach, obviously North Padre is not the greatest beaches of all, but the drive down there and being with them was always cool. One thing I can't live without, for y'all that don't have kids, the only way I can explain it is my daughter, Charlie. I have one girl, and I'm sure her mother would say the same thing, that it's just one of those things where I can't imagine a day a day without her. I mean, it's hard enough as it is on the road, but not getting to see her. But she's just the light, obviously the light of my life, and she makes me smile every single day. I do videos with her all the time because it's so cute, and the things she says right now. And she loves me right now. She's 16. She probably won't like me as much because I'm going to hate the boys, but she's a little angel, so my little girl. Life motto. Life, you only get one. So if you do it right the first time, one's all you need. Best part of waking up is not Folgers in my cup. Is definitely the fact that you get a chance to, each day is a new day, so you can start all over. Every day you get a chance to start all over. It's another day on earth. It's another song to write, another song to sing. It's another person to meet. There's so many cool things about another day, when so many people aren't guaranteed that. And, we live in a country that we can. And God bless, those troops who fight for our right to be able to do that and not have to worry about it. But, yeah, I just think it's just take one day at a time. It's just another day. So it's, it's great. It's a gift. Best childhood memory. I'm sure people will have thousands upon thousands, and they're a whole lot cooler than what I'm about to say. But it goes back to my, obviously my two heroes were my uncle, which was my favorite vacation, and then this one, which is my grandfather, my mamaw, who were both passed on. We used to have this old patio. We lived 35 miles northeast of Dallas, so it's a concrete slab, which most patios were, and still are to this day. But it was out there. We didn't have, it was back before they really had the big canopies or anything like that. It was just slab, and you had like a bench on it. So what my grandma would do is she'd get this big hunk of cheese, the bar cheese, and she would get the Ritz crackers, and she'd get summer sausage, and she'd chop it all up, and we'd just sit out there and eat. And the way that Southwest and DFW and Love Field lined up, the flight pattern was right over their house. At that point, they're really high in the air, but my dad worked for Southwest at the time, and my mama and granddad would be like, there's your dad. So we thought every plane was my dad, flying in. He didn't even fly, but at the time it was cool. But, simple things like that, because life was so simple then. Now it's so crazy and so hectic and stuff. I feel like, if we get back to those days, it would be great. Do I have a hidden talent? Okay, this is going to be random. This might actually gross some of y'all out. First of all, I'm ambidextrous. That's one. But I don't know if y'all can see this, but I can put my tongue on top of the roof of my mouth, which is like the weirdest thing ever. So I don't even know if that's cool. So I'd say the ambidextrous thing would work. But knowing that y'all probably get bored of these questions and simple answers, I need to do something different. So here's what I'll do. That's it. I don't know if that's cool or not. Sorry if it's not, if I grossed anybody out. I'm also ambidextrous, in case that one doesn't work. I'm ambidextrous, so I can throw with the right and left hand. Favorite movie? Man, I'm going to say something that's going to really sound, it's going to be weird. Actually, you know what? No. I got a lot of favorite movies. I don't have one in particular. But the one I do have that I remember, I'll never forget watching, because I watched it with my grandfather, it's called Memphis Belle. And it was based on a true story of the Memphis Belle. And my grandfather fought in World War II, and he was a prisoner in World War II. And he was shot down on his last mission, just like the Memphis Belle was, which is so funny how that happened. But it was a big deal. And to watch with my grandfather, for anybody who knows anybody that's a World War II vet, my grandfather cried during the movie. And I'd never seen my grandfather cry. So it wasn't until then that it started this huge fascination with World War II, and just to figure, just to really want to dig into all the sacrifices and just some of the stories that you hear that, have never been told. And for me, that was one of those stories. My grandfather, again, passed when I was like 12, so I never really got to hear the stories. but you know, I hear them through my uncle and my dad and stuff like that. But it's pretty interesting to see, you know, them reenact. I mean, it was so real to him. So Memphis Belle. 5 words to describe me. Goodness gracious. I just can't get enough. I don't know what that means, but of life, of people, of my family, of my friends, everything. I just can't get enough.
All right.